Hey guys, it's Russ Ruffino with Clients on Demand, and today we're going to be talking about 3 reasons why you are afraid to get on the phone with your potential clients. Stay tuned. Hey guys, it is Russ Ruffino with Clients on Demand, and I'm here today by the brilliant, the amazing Mr. Mark Von Muser, our Director of Sales at Clients on Demand. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about 3 big reasons why you're afraid to do sales calls with your potential clients. Now, Mark, how you doing?
I'm blessed and grateful, excited to be here.
Nice, man. So guys, look, first of all, before we even get into the 3 reasons why you might be afraid to do it, I want to just emphasize to you how important it is that you have these sorts of conversations. So let me tell you what I mean. When I first built my online marketing business, I was obsessed with a 4-hour work week. That was the first book that even let me know that it was even possible to make a living online in the first place. And that was like, I don't even know, 13 years ago probably. But when I read that book, the book is all about passive income. And so in the beginning, that was my obsession. It's about creating some sort of low-cost product that you can sell consistently online without really having to do very much. And at the time, that sounded really good. So when I first started out, that's exactly the kind of stuff that I was selling. I was selling ebooks. I was selling, for $27. I was selling video courses maybe for like $97. And the whole idea is that you build out a little, funnel, a little sales funnel, a series of web pages where people will go to that funnel, and then whatever they see on that page will be so powerful and so persuasive that they're going to click that add to cart button and they're going to buy that ebook or video course. And that's going to put a little bit of money in your pocket. And you do that over and over and over again. You do that a few thousand times, and then eventually you'll get to the income goal that you want to hit. Well, so I actually was able to make this work. Someone was telling me the other day, Russ, wow, you're the first person I ever spoke to that was able to make kind of like the strategy in the 4-hour work week actually work. Well, I was. And at the time, I was doing about $20,000 a month in revenue, selling, again, these little ebooks and these video courses and things like that. Now, the problem was that even though thousands of people were buying my stuff and they were enjoying it, when I reached out to them and I said, hey, man, I see you bought my book about Google AdWords and how to do advertising on Google. And they'd be like, oh yeah, Russ, that was an amazing course. It was an awesome program. I loved it. I'm like, okay, cool, man. What did you do? How did you put it in action? What kind of results did you get? Every single time I asked that question, it was crickets. Oh, well, Russ, yeah, I'll get around to it. I'm sure I will, blah, blah, blah. And I just realized that, hey, all I was doing was just kind of giving people information and just giving them tons of information. And they weren't even trying, to put it into practice. And look, from a purely dollars and cents perspective, you might say, well, Russ, that's fine. Who cares? Let them, you sell them the ebook, who cares if they read it or not? And I get that perspective. But I really wanted to be getting people actual results. It started to bother me. Like, hey man, if I'm selling this stuff and yeah, the reviews are good and refunds are really low and all that other stuff, but if I'm selling this stuff and people aren't actually using it, then what the heck is the point? What am I doing? So I thought to myself, okay, well, what would happen if instead of trying to sell hundreds of copies of something at $27 or thousands of copies of something at $97 or whatever, what would happen if I raised my prices dramatically? So in other words, raised my prices to like $5,000 or $8,000 or $10,000. And instead of trying to sell hundreds of copies or thousands of copies, what if I only worked with a handful of people every month? What would happen then? And what my thinking was, well, if people are coming in at a premium price, they're definitely going to take action, right? They're not going to sit around and just sit on this information and not do anything with it. So they're probably going to show up committed and take massive action. Then I thought to myself, well, if I'm only working with a handful of clients per month, because that's all I really needed to do in order to hit my income goals, then I could really provide them a truly transformational experience, couldn't I? I mean, I could provide them like a real VIP experience and actually get them some incredible results. So in order to do that, what I needed to start doing is having a phone call, having a phone conversation with the people that I was thinking about working with. And I needed to do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, it allowed me to command those sorts of premium price points, 5K, 8K, 10K, that sort of thing. But number two, it allowed me to make sure that I was only enrolling people that I knew that I could help. And so I knew that a phone call would probably set up that coaching relationship beautifully. And so this whole thing, guys, was a really big experiment, and it was very, very terrifying at the time. I shut down all my low ticket offers. I just completely turned off the faucet on all my low ticket stuff and dove in with both feet into just doing this experiment of only charging premium prices. Well, what happened? Well, I'm happy to tell you guys that even though in the beginning, I really didn't know what I was doing, my income jumped from about $20,000 a month to $200,000 a month. And then from there, it's continued to grow and grow and grow to now to the point where we're doing about $1.5 million every month. Not every year, every month. But what precipitated that jump from $20K a month to $200K a month was just that willingness to get on the phone and command a premium price. And luckily, all the stuff that I thought was going to happen actually happened. People did show up committed. They did do the work and they did get an incredible result. And so since then, I've absolutely never looked back. So the moral of the story, the reason I'm telling you all of this is that if you're not getting on the phone with potential clients and you're not commanding premium prices, you absolutely need to. I mean, you are literally leaving tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table every single month. But the worst part is you're definitely not making the kind of impact that you were born to make. I guarantee it. So we're going to talk about why you might be afraid to do those sales calls and what you can do to overcome some of those fears. But man, I got to tell you, if you're not getting your potential clients on the phone, man, you are really, really leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, I love that story, Russ, because it also mimics and it lines perfectly for the growth into what human behavior is also showing us in the buying market. Buyers are tired of information. And what you talked about was really walking a human being past their own fear. That transformation is a completely different conversation than information. And now with the growth of YouTube, with the growth of Google, there's plenty of information. Yet why doesn't everybody lose weight? Why aren't people saving their marriages? Why aren't people getting off those addictions? Because the human being has evolved. The human being needs more support than ever. And what you're talking about was a transformational conversation hidden behind doing an enrollment call. And just putting an add to cart button, click to cart button does not open up the space for that transformational conversation. And I believe that's what buyers are looking for. They want to know. They would rather invest a premium rate to get the result rather than buy another ebook or buy another low ticket program that does not get them the result.
Yeah. And Mark, honestly, that's the biggest reason why I think my income from that very first experiment went from $20K a month to $200K a month. I mean, I 10x'd my income in literally 1 month. But I think the reason for that, guys, is I was finally selling what people really wanted. They don't want an ebook. They don't want a video course. They don't want any of those things. What they want is a result, period, end of story. And when you're talking about a major life or business challenge, right? How do I get my business off the ground? How do I find the love of my life? How do I save my marriage? How do I lose 80 pounds? How do I overcome this illness or whatever it might be? When you're talking about a major life or business challenge, guys, people know that your $27 ebook is not going to fix the problem. Okay. They know that. So when you go to them and you say, hey man, just read this ebook and all will be well, they don't believe you and they shouldn't. But when you go to people and say, hey, you know what, man, I've got a coaching program that's absolutely transformational. And yes, it really can save your marriage if you're willing to do the work. And at PS, it's 8K or 10K or 15K. People are going to jump all over it because they go, oh yeah, you know what? It is expensive, but this guy's not playing around. This guy's serious. He's serious about me. He's serious about results. He's serious about fixing this problem. So it's really, really important that you guys understand that. And what supports that transformational sale is that phone call. So let's dive in and talk about that. What are these 3 reasons, these 3 big fears that are holding you back from getting on the phone with your clients, right? So number 1 is that you have a weak or broken funnel. You have a weak or broken funnel. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, look, everybody's talking about sales funnels now because there's all these pieces of software out there that are very popular that are designed to help you build a sales funnel. So what the hell even is that? Well, like I said before, a sales funnel is really just a series of web pages that people go through that are designed to get them to buy something. So we have a process, guys. And look, everyone is talking about these really overcomplicated sort of sales funnels, right? Where, they buy a $7 thing and then you upsell them a $27 thing. And then there's that $97 like VIP ninja package and on and on and on. Well, first of all, those things are just a nightmare to build because you're talking about selling 7 or 8 or 9 different products sometimes, even in just one funnel. And for each of those products, you have to have a unique sales message. You have to have customer support in place. You have to have a place where they can download all those things. It's just a nightmare. And ultimately, again, guys, it's just selling information. It's not selling transformation. So the kind of funnel that we use at Clients on Demand, and I hate to even call it a funnel because it's so freaking simple, is literally this. You click on an ad, you watch a video presentation, you book a phone call, you become a client. That's it. Okay. So no complicated upsells and downsells and cross sells and all kinds of stuff. It's literally just click the ad, watch this video. You think this makes sense? Let's book a call. And when on the call, we'll enroll you into a program if we think it's a fit. Now, what's really cool about this process, guys, is that it takes people from clicking on your ad to enrolling with you as a client in just 24 to 48 hours. And that's even at $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 prices. And that's even if they've never heard of you at all before they click that ad. It's really important that you understand that. About 90% of the people who sign up for Clients on Demand never even heard of us until they click that ad. They don't watch this show. They don't listen to, the other stuff we put out. Literally, they clicked an ad. They said, this looks interesting. They watch the presentation, they book a call, and they enroll as a new client. So if you don't have a process like that has 5 people a day, 6 people a day, 10 people a day, 30 people a day reaching out to work with you, if you don't have that, that's a big part of the reason why you're terrified of those calls. Because if you're only having like one person a week, let's say, reach out to talk to you, then you're going to be scared every time you get on the phone because that's your one chance to enroll a new client. And if you screw it up, you're probably not going to get another chance for another week or another 2 weeks or another month. And that's a terrible place to be. What we want you to be is in a position where you have more people reaching out to work with you than you can possibly handle. And that's a great place to be because you get to pick and choose. I want to work with this person. I don't want to work with that person. I never want you to have to compromise. I never want you to have to settle. And I certainly never want you to have to enroll somebody that you're not really sure you can help. So we want you to be to like sort of have your pick of clients. And what's going to do that for you is if you have a funnel that's really simple and really strong. Does that make sense?
And I love this, Russ, because I don't care what business you're in, even if you're a real estate broker, real estate agent, a lender, a coach, a consultant, you're only as good as your funnel is to get clients on the phone. We hear it all the time where I'm a really great coach, man. When I do this, I get great results. And if I get someone on the phone, I'm usually really good at enrolling them. Sometimes they're not. But that's where the funnel is either going to support you and help you make your dreams come true, or it will block you. Because the thing about referral programs, and we have a great referral program in place, but it's not as predictable. You don't know, you can't scale your business. You can't sit reactionary and hope someone's going to call you. Now, when you have a great funnel, here's the big difference and why it makes such a difference. If you're sitting there and the average coach is doing less than one call for a prospect per week, they're spending all this time cranking out content. They're going to networking meetings. They're doing all this type of stuff to try and create business. But let's say they get one call a week. In 1 year, they're going to do roughly 50 calls. 50 calls, great. Maybe they get 10 clients a year. Okay, good for you. You're in the highest percentage bracket right there if you really did that. So we're not talking about the majority. We're talking about the top 5%. And when you're doing that, that means that you're getting one call a week. Well, with a working funnel, all of a sudden, as you said, Russ, I can scale that up to do 3 calls a day, 5 calls a day. So let's say I just do 5 calls a day. Now I'm doing 25 calls in a week, 50 calls in 2 weeks. So I'm getting 1 year's worth of calls, 1 year's worth of experience, 1 year's worth of sales in 2 weeks, not 1 year. Now that becomes very important because I get much better feedback. I learn what my clients want right now and I'm not wasting time and I start serving more people. Hence, I make a lot more money and I have a lot more impact. So there's so many benefits and it's amazing, but I've watched people over and over again. When they don't have a working funnel, it's like they get busy as busy. It's like the one realtor who has one appointment this week and he'll spend all week working on a CMA, a comparative market analysis. He'll work on getting his suit pressed. He'll get his hair cut. He'll drive out there, get his car washed. He'll go ahead and do more research. He'll do this. And at the end of the day, he didn't get the listing. And he spent all of his time trying to nurture that, hopefully because he needs the money. Next week, it's the same thing. The next week, it's the same thing. But when you have a working funnel you can pick and choose who you want to work with. You can decide, yeah, this guy's the one I want to work with. This one's not motivated. I'm not even going to work with them. And it's an amazing, powerful way for your business to really grow a business and grow it rapidly. And that's what we've taught people. It's so exciting watching them implement what we're doing, a new way of doing it, and watching them get those premium ideal clients who actually do the work. And they're grateful for it, and they'll sign up all day long if you go down that path and know how to do it right.
The other thing to keep in mind, guys, is that if your funnel is executed properly, where the ad is tight, dialed in, people are signing up and they're watching a video and that's totally dialed in, and then they're booking a call with you, that's going to set up the sales call beautifully. We don't even call it a sales call. Actually, we call it an enrollment conversation, but that's beside the point. My point is that having the funnel isn't just a benefit to you because it's going to give you more people to talk to, which, as Mark pointed out, it's going to give you more chances to make a sale, and it's going to allow you to improve and get good faster. A proper funnel is going to set up that call for you so that by the time the person even gets on the phone with you, they know who you are, they know what you're about, they're clear on the problem that you solve, they know why they need your help, they know all of these things going into the call. And so what that means, guys, is that those sales calls, when they actually happen, can be the most fun part of your business. It's not something that's going to, be this like drag, or you're not, going to be bullying people or twisting their arm or anything like that. They're reaching out to talk to you. They already want to speak to you. They're pretty sure they want to work with you. And then you just have to have a nice, cool, easy, fun conversation about whether or not both of you guys think it's a good fit for you to work together. And if it is, awesome. You can start that coaching relationship. And if it isn't, great. You can send them to someplace that can actually help them. But either way, those calls are going to be such a powerful and fun part of your business once your funnel's dialed in and everything is set up properly. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. Look, if you're terrified of sales calls, a big part of why that is what happens before that call. And if you're terrified of those calls, it means that you either don't have a funnel to begin with, and you're depending on like word of mouth, or if you do have a funnel, it's not working and it's broken. But either way, that is something that you need to fix, because when you dial that funnel in, it'll make those sales calls a hell of a lot more fun. All right, so let's talk about the second reason why you're terrified to get on sales calls, and that is that you're just not that good at it. And that's okay. So most of the people who are afraid to get on the phone, it's because you either haven't been trained, or what's even more common is that you've been mistrained. Now, what do I mean about that? What I mean, guys, is that most sales training programs out there are outdated garbage, absolute freaking garbage. All of these really famous sales systems that are still being taught today, the tactics that they're teaching come from the 1950s, the 1960s. They come from things like vacuum cleaner sales. I mean, stuff from way back in the day. And if you think that stuff is still going to work today, then I got another thing to tell you. People are so much more sophisticated today. Like, look, back when people first started doing this, people probably never got a sales call when their phone rang and it said, "Hey, this is so-and-so from such and such vacuum company. Do you have a minute to talk?" People were probably like, yeah, sure. They'd never heard from people on the phone before. But today's consumer is bombarded by advertising, guys. I mean, look, it's 2021. You're getting advertisements in your email. You're getting them in your news feed. You're getting them on YouTube. You're getting them in your text messages. I mean, you're getting them everywhere. Not to mention just on TV and on billboards and things like that. You see advertisements constantly. So what that means, guys, is that people are way more skeptical today than they were when these phone sales techniques were created. And not only that, people have seen movies like The Wolf of Wall Street. People have seen movies that show them what predatory sales look like. So when you're on the phone with them, if you're trying to use these outdated tactics where you're like twisting their arm or trying to like box them into making a decision that they really have no business making, they're going to smell it and they're going to sense it. And it's not going to work. And if it does work and you happen to get that credit card, guess what? They're going to call you up the next morning and they're going to ask for a refund because they're going to feel like you bullied them into making a decision that wasn't right for them. You understand? So Mark, you can talk about this all day long. Like, what are some of these outdated tactics that just don't work?
Well, part of it, I love what you said, predatory sales practices, because that's really what it is, Russ. And it starts at the core foundation where the salesman's goal is to sell you or close you. So they're showing up not to serve you, not to find out what your needs are. They're there to close and get a commission. Always be closing. Like you said, Glengarry Glen Ross, a famous sales movie of predator sales, or Boiler Room, with Ben Affleck. And another one, I forget Giovanni Ribisi or whatever, great actor. But they show you what those predatory sales practices are. And so what happens, some of those sales practices are basically, I'm going to do a features and benefits sale. I'm going to pretend a faux rapport. I really like you, Russ. Wow, that's great. You've just had a baby. What's your name? And it's all based, but the whole time in my heart and in the back of my mind, I'm waiting for you to shut up so I can basically tell you about features and benefits. I want to tell you about what I can do. And I might use intimidation. I might try and use my personal power. I might raise my tone. I might call you back. I might insult you and tell you it's going to, whatever. But all of these are going back to the fact I want a sale and you're my commission check. And they show up accordingly. And that's how they're recruited. That's how they're trained. And all of a sudden, the buyer can feel it. And you were absolutely correct, Russ, when you talked about the buyer today is bombarded with requests for their attention, requests for their wallet and their money. And so what happens, the only way we can survive is to create better buyer defenses. So the buyer is much more savvy. They can spot a telemarketing call immediately. They can send somebody door knocks you that they're there to sell you. The old habit, I'm down the street. I'm here, knock on the door. I'm doing some pest inspection for your neighbor, John Doe down the street, who doesn't live there, by the way. And all of a sudden I'm going to do that. And I'm going to give you a great deal. I over ordered, and they have all these little hooks to try and get their hand in your wallet. But the buyer today knows different. And what happens at your core, it's why we had caller ID. It's why we had do not call list legislation. It's why we get spam, why we all have junk mail boxes where, you know what I mean? Where you get all that spam in your traditional mail. These are all things that we just go trash, 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 trash. That's what we're doing when they show up this way on the phone. And what's great about what you're talking about, Russ, is that if you do it a new way, and by that, I mean, you put the client's need first. You put the client, let's have a conversation that's based not on me getting a sale and get my hand in your wallet, but let's find out if you have a problem, if you're committed to solve the problem, and whether we're the best solution and whether I want to work with you. Those are the things that we're going through. Now, here's what happens. The buyer feels heard. The buyer feels they can actually have a real conversation, which feels good for them. They get to finally decide whether or not you're the right person, and we get to decide, are we their best option and do we want to work with them? So it's a win-win. And now all of a sudden, it's like we have found that people, when you have this type of a conversation, 9 out of 10 of them will want to solve the problem. So you don't need to close. You don't need to pressure. You don't need to use your personal power to try and force people to buy. Most people will want to solve the problem, but you have to show up in a heart of service and you have to show up to get to the truth. And most people just don't understand it because they're still following those used car sales tricks and those old door-to-door sales tricks that started in the 60s and the 50s. So it's a whole different world and it's a whole lot more fun.
Guys, understand how different that is. Understand how different that is from maybe some of the things that you've been taught or some of the things that you're seeing out there. The old way of doing things is like Mark said, to separate somebody from their credit card and from their money by any means necessary. If you got to use your charisma, use your charisma. If you got to make them laugh, make them laugh. You got to make them cry, make them cry. Whatever it is, just get that money. That is the opposite of the way that we do things. And it's the opposite of the way that we think you should do things too. What Mark is saying is that the goal of the conversation is not to make the sale. The goal of the conversation is to get to the truth. What is the problem this client is struggling with? What happens if they don't fix it? Can you help them fix it? And if not, what's the best solution for them? And it's really important that you internalize this at a very deep level. Guys, we talk to potential clients at our company, Clients on Demand, all the time. And it might interest you to know that we don't even make an offer to like 20% of the people that we speak to. Not because they wouldn't buy if we asked them to buy, but because we're not 100% sure we can help them. And that's the moral obligation that sets up a beautiful coaching relationship. Is your clients need to understand that if you're inviting them to be a part of your program, it's because you really understand and know that you can help them. They're a great fit. You really want to work with them. You're excited to work with them, and you know they're going to show up and you know they're going to do the work. But if you feel like you can't help them, you feel like you're not sure if you can help them, you feel like you don't really want to work with that person, but you need the money, we never want you to be in that situation. We want you to be able, like we said, to only work with the people that you can truly serve. And that conversation, doing it the way we're talking about, is going to facilitate that whole thing beautifully. Whereas if you twist somebody's arm or cajole them or use any of those outdated tactics, you're not setting up anything like the kind of coaching relationship that you need. You're already out of integrity on the sales call. So then what the hell is going to happen when they're actually in your program? You understand? So if you guys are afraid of doing sales calls because of that training, guess what? You're right. You should be. If you've ever been through one of those trainings and it didn't feel good, hey, good for you. Because that shows that something in your intuition was like, oh man, I don't think I want to do business this way. And if that's you, then you should really think about starting to do things the way that we're talking about here, because it will massively transform the way those conversations feel, where you're going to feel great about every client you enroll. And it's not going to feel like you did anything out of integrity whatsoever to get that person to sign up. And for those of you that are wondering about whether or not this is more effective, I'll tell you right now, of course it is. Because at Clients on Demand, what we do and what we teach our clients to do is to have one conversation that results in a 5K or 8K or 10K sale. A lot of these other people are teaching you to follow up and follow up and follow up. I saw one guy that said, very famous sales trainer, that said you should be following up with every prospect 16 times before they sign up. And I'm like, that's nuts. That is absolutely nuts. If you're doing this the right way, guys, you should be able to get people to yes on that very first conversation. You shouldn't have to do hardly any follow-ups at all, maybe none. But you should be able to, in a very quick conversation, maybe an hour or whatever, get them to sign up with you at 5K or 8K or 10K. So this way of doing it is so much more powerful. It's a win for you. It's a win for the client. And when you do it right, these sales calls will become the most fun part of your business. All right, so let's talk about that third reason that you might be terrified of those sales calls. And that is just internally, you're struggling with fear of rejection, fear of people turning you down, fear of getting shot down on those calls. And so you're like, man, at the end of the day, I don't want to hear the word no. And guys, look, this is a massive, massive trap. And I really want to spend a second here, because there's so many different ways that this can show up in your business. One of those ways is getting ready to get ready. So in other words, saying something like, hey, yeah, you know what, Russ, I'd love to make a high ticket offer to my list, but I got to really build a big audience first. Or I'll make a high ticket offer after I write that New York Times bestseller. Or after I spend years creating a hit podcast and building an audience of 100,000 people. Or I can't make a high ticket sale because I only have 5,000 followers on Instagram. I don't have 100,000 followers. So who would ever buy from me? Guys, please understand that although that might seem like it makes sense and it might seem like a smart thing to do, all you're really doing is making things more difficult for yourself because you're terrified to hear the word no. The God's honest truth, guys, is that you can have a funnel that you set up really, really quickly that's getting you 3 to 5 people a day reaching out to work with you. And you have those conversations and it's either a yes or a no. And when it's a yes, you get a new $8,000 or $10,000 client. And when it's a no problem, you send them to someone else that can help them. That's it. That can be your life very, very, very quickly. You don't have to spend 6 months writing a book or a year building a massive audience. I mean, you could literally have that up and running in the next few weeks. So if you're making it any more complicated than that, you got to really check in with yourself, because sometimes we make it a lot more complicated just because we don't want to hear the word no. It's really important that you understand that. If you're looking back over the past few months, you're not getting the kind of clients that you want and you're not getting enough people reaching out to work with you, seriously, ask yourself whether it's because you have this massive fear of rejection or this fear of hearing the word no, because that's going to cost you more than anything else in your business. I promise you.
I love this conversation, Russ, because people of all levels, I don't care. We've had millionaires that have built traditional millionaire businesses in brick and mortar, but COVID wiped them out. So now they're trying to figure out how to go online. But most people are afraid at some level about hearing no or being humiliated, or what if they ask me a question I don't know? And luckily for you guys, in our program, we teach you new strategies on how to deal with that rapidly. But this also gets down to the problem where if you're trying to build your business and you're trying to scale your business and you're doing 1 call a week, just like the number 2 that we just talked about, you can't develop skill in that kind of deal. It's like going to the gym once a week, going to martial arts once a week. It's better than nothing. But what happens though is that it's not enough to get you to the level of excellent. It's like I diet 1 day a week. That's not enough. And so what happens though is that actually creates more rejection. It creates more fear because you aren't getting enough critical mass to start learning those distinctions, learning how to move somebody past their fear. And so we've noticed that even the most introverted clients that come to us, and I mean, we're talking massively introverted, and when they know how to have a real conversation and they have a working funnel and they're getting enough at bats, they're talking to enough people, they get through it very, very quickly, and they have that learning curve goes up very quickly. And my concern with the people that are doing the slow drip to hell, one call a week, one call every other week, my concern is that it is such a slow pace that fear actually is with you 24/7, 167 hours in a week, because the other hour you're on the phone. 167 hours a week, you're sitting there going, God, is it ever going to work for me? I can't do this. This is too hard. And somewhere along the lines, Russ, I watch people give up. They give up first, they give up in their mind, and then they start looking for more excuses. Like you said, wait until I get my ebook. Wait until I get a TED Talk. Wait until I get my new certification. Meanwhile, their dream is essentially dead and they're looking for an escape and an excuse. And all three of these tie together very, very much, because we've noticed when somebody has the right skills and the right coaching and the right support, we can teach them how to deal with the fear and get rid of it quickly and actually turn it into a positive. We can show them a better way to have an honest conversation. And lastly, any other mindset issues, the other one you didn't mention, which is a lot of people are not used to prosperity and they're not used to abundance. So we get people that are like, I can't believe they said yes. They said, yes, Russ, I sold a $31 ebook. And now I said, I did it your way. And I sold a $6,000 program and they're fired up. And so those are mindset blocks that we help people through, but you can't skip it. If you've got issues around money, if you've got issues around your worth, if you've got issues around rejection and what it means to you, and you don't know how to rip that out and clean it up out of your psyche, it's not going to fix itself. You need some help to do that. Just bottom line.
And so look, if you're wondering, Russ, am I going to hear the word no? The answer is yes. You are going to hear the word no. You'll help people who either, you turn them down because they're not a fit, or they just don't want to move forward, or they don't want to fix the problem or whatever. But you know what? You're also going to hear the word yes. And at the kinds of price points we're talking about, how many times do you need to hear the word yes on an $8,000 offer or a $10,000 offer for it to change your life every month? I mean, I bet for most of you guys listening to this, sure, we have clients that are doing six figures, multiple six figures every single month. But I mean, for most of the people watching this, if you got 4 clients to say yes at a $5,000 price point every month, that's $20,000 a month. That's $240,000 a year. That's more than most doctors make. I mean, guys, you have to understand, the average doctor in the United States anyway, I think makes about $160,000, $170,000 a year. So if you're up over 240, and again, that's what we would consider to be kind of an entry level of success, that would be life-changing for you. So it's absolutely worth it for you to, have those conversations. And sure, maybe you hear the word no, but you also hear the word yes. And for every person that says yes, you're going to make a great amount of money from that, but you're also going to have a chance to really make a difference in that person's life. Whatever you're doing, whether you're a dating coach or relationship coach, fitness coach, health coach, personal development, spiritual development, whatever. We have clients doing this thing in every niche and market you can possibly imagine. So whatever that magic is that you work for your clients, you're going to have a great chance to do that. Does that make sense? So make sure that you're having these conversations, that you're doing it in an intelligent way, and that you're pushing past your fear of no, your fear of rejection, your fear of what will people say. So guys, let's just recap really quickly. What are these 3 things, these 3 big fears, these 3 big reasons you're terrified of getting on the phone? Number 1, you have a weak or broken funnel, which means that either you're not getting enough people reaching out to talk to you, or the people that are reaching out to talk to you are not sufficiently warmed up. Number 2, you're ineffective on the enrollment calls, which means you either just have never been trained how to do it, or you've been probably trained how to do it the wrong way if you've gone through some of those other programs out there. And then number 3, you have mindset and head trash you got to clear out. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, all of those things that are going to be a massive stumbling block to growing your business. So guys, listen, if you have any of those 3 problems, or maybe all of them, then I have very, very good news for you. Our team would like to speak to you in the next 24 to 48 hours about how you can fix all 3 of those problems and how we can help you do it. The kind of work we do with our clients, we help you dial in the funnel. We help you dial in your advertising. We teach you how to sell our way, so it's fun and empowering for you and the client. And we have some of the best mindset and performance coaches on the planet on our team who can help you through all those mindset issues and sort of all of that head trash. And it's there. You might not realize it, but believe me, it's there. So whichever of those 3 things you need help with, our team is there for you. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to clientsondemand.com/talk. That's clientsondemand.com/talk. Now, when you go to that page, there's going to be a calendar, and that calendar is going to pop up, and I want you to pick whichever appointment time is good for you. And here's what's going to happen. We will call you at the time that you chose, and we'll get on the phone for about 45 minutes to an hour, and we will put our heads together and figure out exactly how you can hit those goals that you're talking about. So we want to hear everything. We want to hear everything you're doing that's working. We want to hear everything that's not working. We want to hear who your dream clients are. And we want to put our heads together and figure out a plan to help you reach those people and enroll them consistently, even at $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 prices. And even if you've never charged that much before, there's no charge for this phone call. It is completely free. And the reason we do it is because we know that once you have that game plan, you might want our help to implement it, right? And if you do, then great. If it's a fit, we can talk about how we can work together. And if not, that's okay too. Either way, our goal is to provide massive value to you on that call so that it's the best 45 minutes you've ever spent working on your business. So go to clientsondemand.com/talk and let us help you solve all of these problems that we've been talking about here today.
And Russ, I concur 1,000% of what you're talking about. And it reminds me of two different clients. We get people that come into one of two buckets that come in. Number one is the one that has a list. They've been out there trying to do it. They've got a decent list. They've got a lot of people in their group, their email list, but they're not monetizing it. And the one that comes to mind is Sophie. Sophie was a weight loss coach and helped body transformation. And she had a $31 ebook. And she was convinced that her clients couldn't afford more. Now, the reality was it was all three of what you just talked about. She didn't have a working funnel. She didn't have a way to proactively identify who the best clients were that were committed right now to solve it. Secondly, she didn't understand the enrollment process, so she was very ineffective on the phone. Third, she had the add to click to cart button, but the bottom line was there was some mind trash that she didn't even know she had. Long story short, based on a referral that she came in here with, she saw this other coach that was doing $140,000 a month, and she trusted this other coach who was our client. She came in. She told me all about her $31 ebook and about all of her clients' limitations. Well, long story short, she was coachable, decisive, committed. She showed up in the program. In the last 90 days, she's done $150,000. That's one example. She no longer does the low ticket. Well, actually, she does. She had one person. She forgot to take down her low ticket tripwire funnel. And she had one person slip through the cracks because that's how she found out. And in $31 ebook, and they sent in 10 help tickets in the first week.
Yep.
And they're not doing anything. They're just complaining and scared about everything. Yet her high-paying clients are having huge transformation. The second type of client I want to say is about Kate. Kate came in with nothing other than a skill set. She didn't have a list. She didn't have a brand. She didn't have a name for her company. What she was really good at helping people find their purpose in their job and not, pull a geographic. So she asked us, will it work? And we looked at, yes, we can target your clientele. We know where they are on Facebook. 2, we can help you refine your message. 3, we would love to work with you. Well, long story short, she's been absolutely committed with no list, nothing, but she's done it. And she now in the first 90 days has done over $900,000. Now, again, her success doesn't equate to you, but it doesn't matter if you have a list and you don't know how to monetize it or you don't have a list. What we're looking for is, are you ready to start serving people at a higher level? Are you ready to get some help so you can make your dreams come true? And if that's the answer is yes, then let's book a call and let's chat.
That's absolutely right, guys. Look, this stuff takes work. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? It takes work. It takes dedication. It takes commitment. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be obstacles. What makes a difference is whether you have a team like ours there to hold your hand and help you through executing each step of this process, getting your marketing dialed in, getting your sales dialed in, getting your offer dialed in, and setting things up so that you can take great care of your clients once you begin enrolling them. If that's what you want, again, go to clientsondemand.com/talk. and book an appointment to speak to us, because that's what Kate did. That's what Sophie did. That's what all of our other just clients who are crushing it did. They all started by booking that same call that you're about to book. clientsondemand.com/talk. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Mark, great hanging out with you today, buddy. And we will catch you guys on the next show. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you guys want to subscribe, there's a little picture of me. You can click that button right over there. If you want to book a breakthrough session with our team, which you absolutely should do, then you can click that button there or go to clientsondemand.com/talk to book an appointment to speak to us. We'll go ahead and catch you on the next show. Bye-bye.